Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers. This is yet again another session brought to you by Resolution Insurance. Resolution Insurance is one of the leading indigenous local insurance companies, giving you all kinds of general insurance, originally known for medical insurance, but we have since grown into general insurance. And today, as part of our engagement with you and giving you information on various aspects of insurance, we are going to be talking about motor insurance today. So I'd like to welcome you to our session today. We are joined by Beatrice Kiarie, and I'm going to ask her to just tell us a little bit about herself, and then we can carry on with our conversation. So welcome, Beatrice. Tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, what you do at Resolution Insurance.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. Yes, my name is Beatrice Kiarie and I am a senior underwriter here at Resolution Insurance. I'm tasked with charging or managing the motor book for the company. I've been doing this for the last 4 years, and it has its challenges, its good aspects, but all the same, it's quite an interesting career for me, and working here is quite good. Thank you.
Okay, Beatrice, tell us, what does an underwriter mean?
An underwriter is someone who gets a risk, assesses the risk, and can be able to determine, is this risk acceptable or not acceptable, and if it's acceptable, they know how to price it and place it on the books.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. Now, let's talk about insurance. Yeah?
Sure.
What is insurance? Can you explain that concept?
Insurance is a means of protection from financial loss. It's a risk transfer mechanism primarily used to hedge against risk of future losses. So the entity that provides insurance is called an insurance company, or it's the underwriting company, and the person or the entity that purchases this or buys this cover is called the policyholder or the insured persons. Now, the person who intends to insure ought to have the financial interest in the subject vehicle. And for us, this case, it's a motor vehicle, which means if something happens to that vehicle, whether it's an accident, theft, or fire, and the vehicle is damaged partially, or you get it's a total loss, the insured will suffer a financial loss. And the work of the insurance company is to place them back to where they were before that claim occurred. Now, the insured will always get a contract. There's always a contract of insured or of insurance, and it details the conditions, circumstances. It has the exclusions and all the different aspects that will notify the insured on what basis a claim will be honored. So for that return, the client has to, or the insured has to forfeit some money, which we call the premium.
Excellent. So tell us, why is it mandatory for every motor vehicle owner to obtain insurance?
The simple answer, it's the law. So motor vehicles started appearing in the roads in Europe in the 1890s, and the injuries that were resulting from them became a matter of public concern. And in most cases, those injured were not able to get any compensation from the people who were driving these vehicles. And because that motorist never used to have any sort of protection. So they came up with an act that made it compulsory for every vehicle to have minimum third-party insurance. So in Kenya, that translates to the law we call the Insurance Act, which is the Cap 4 or 5 of the laws of Kenya. So this was passed in the 1940s, and for you to believe or to understand and see that this client has complied and they have mandatory insurance, they always have to append a motor certificate on their dashboard as a minimum to show that they have that cover.
Excellent. So now, what are the steps of obtaining insurance for your motor vehicle?
The first part is the client has to propose. The client must have subject to insure, which is a motor vehicle. So a motor insurance is bound under contract, must be having the requisite documents. So at resolution, this means the client has to sufficiently fill in a proposal form. They have to give us a valid logbook, and they also have to give us a valid Kiarie PIN copy. On top of that, it's important for us to verify their driving license, that it's genuine and it's authorized by the government to be able to drive on the Kenyan roads for that specific class of vehicles, as well as we always require the national ID. So from these documents is where the insurer will be able to assess the risk and tell how much they're going to pay for that particular policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just divert a little bit.
Sure.
Does the age of a person determine what's the insurance and the insured? And
currently in Kenya, we don't penalize clients based on age unless they are below 18 years old or 21 years old, depending on the insurance company. Otherwise, anyone above 21 or 18 years old can drive a vehicle as long as they have a valid driving license.
Excellent.
Anyone below 18 or 21, depending on that insurance company, is considered a young or inexperienced driver. And if they are found driving a vehicle and they have a driving license, there are some excesses that apply to them in case of an accident. Yes.
So then now we've bought a vehicle and we've come to you for insurance. Explain to us the different types. I hear comprehensive, I hear third party, I hear temporary. Just tell us what do those things mean?
Yes, thank you for that question. There are normally three types of covers, and the lowest tier, which everyone knows, is the third party only. So this is the bare minimum legal cover that every car must have to be legally on the Kenyan roads. So the cover protects a car owner from liabilities that may arise from third parties if the car is involved in an accident. Now, this cover does not protect the car owner from personal liabilities. If any accident was to occur when you have a third party, any repairs the client or the insured has to meet the cost themselves. In essence, they become their own insurer. Then we have the second tier, which is called the third party fire and theft. It's not a very common cover, but it has all the features that a comprehensive cover would have, but excludes the accidental damage. For the third party fire and theft, first of all, it covers the third parties who may suffer injuries or loss while in that particular car, and that car is involved in an accident. And secondly, it covers you in the event the vehicle catches a fire and is destroyed. And lastly, it also covers you liabilities associated with the theft of the car. It's not a very common cover. The most common cover is the third one, which is the most preferred insurance cover, which is the comprehensive cover. And it takes care of a wide range of risks. And the cover provides benefits for the third party, fire and theft. And in addition, it covers the car owners from liabilities arising from accidental damage to their car. Yes.
Excellent. So we hear that a motor car has to be valued so that the insurance can be activated or issued.
Yes.
Why is this? Why do you have to value?
Well, as an insurance company, you're not able to go and see each and every risk physically. You have to rely on these service providers that are called valuers. And valuation is just a process of estimating the worth of the vehicle. And this worth of the vehicle is what translates to the sum insured or the value that is insured for this vehicle.
So what is it based on? What do you do the valuation based on?
Well,
is it the color? Is it the look? Is it the make? Is it?
You're right on some of those items because there are some various factors. You remember we talked about the documents that you need when onboarding a client or checking if a risk you're going to insure. Majorly the logbook, also the vehicle, also what's on the client details. There are those factors and conditions that can affect the value of that motor vehicle are many. The age of a vehicle, the older it is, the more it's susceptible to having mechanical breakdowns and an electrical problems and eventually it causes an accident. Also, they also check on the mileage, how long has it been on the roads and the extent of the usage. They also check on the engine, how many times has the engine been changed and the condition of the engine. Finally, they look at the body condition. Has this vehicle ever been in an accident before? And also they look at the tires, they look at the maintenance history, they look at all the accessories. And there are these metrics or these formulas that they use to come up with the value of that vehicle. Yes.
Excellent. So then now let's come to your driving on the road, and then an accident happens. What happens now when, as an insured person, you have an accident? Take us through.
Well, if you are an insured and on the Kenyan roads and you get an accident, you'll need to report. That's the first thing. You're supposed to report that accident to the authorities and to your insurance company. And you ensure you do this in the nearest time possible, especially if it's an accident that has, it's not just own damage, you're in your own compound. Even on the public roads, the best thing is to just call the police as well as notify your insurance company. You'll find most of these motor stickers that you append your certificate on the dashboard with has all those details for most of this insurance company, and you're required to comply with your insurance company to ensure you have smooth handling of your claim. So yeah, it's all, you have to call, you have to report, and you have to obtain the police abstract and also work with your insurance company to provide all the documents, including the claim forms. Yeah.
You've mentioned a very common word that I've heard with drivers.
Yes.
Abstract.
Yes.
What's the value of obtaining that abstract?
Well, as insurance companies, we rely on the police. They are the law enforcement, and they are supposed to be at the scene of the accident, and they take as much details as they can. You can get a lot of information from witnesses, you can get a lot of information from the parties that were involved in the accident, but when you get information from the law, you can be able to tell that this is genuine, as well as that document, the abstract, you can actually go with it into a court of law, and during prosecutions, you can use it to defend a case as an insurance company. Yes.
Now, there's something that we see on the back of the sticker,
yes,
for example, and what we call the fine print.
Yes.
In case of an accident, do not accept or admit liability.
Correct.
What does that mean?
Basically, that means that do not say that you are the person who caused the accident. Do not take blame. Most of the times when you're in an accident, you lose memory. You are not yourself, and you'd rather just wait. Let the authorities come, let the insurer know what's happening, let them go fight it out in court or through a claim process, but the standard is never admit liability. Yes.
What if you admit liability, what is likely to happen?
Well, it can be used as evidence in the court of law, and you find, even though you were startled and you said, I'm the one who caused this accident, then later you're okay and you remember the facts and you say, I'm not the one who caused this accident. The witnesses at the accident scene can use your statement then that you are the one who caused the accident, and that's why we always say don't admit liability even though you are at fault. Yes.
Okay, let's switch a little bit to another issue.
Sure.
That there are times that that the radio,
yes,
and the windscreen has either special or separate insurance. Explain to us why.
Well, you see, for the radio and the windscreen and radio cassettes, they are all items that can be of different values. You can have a Toyota Voxy, but the windscreen you've put, maybe it's a bulletproof, or maybe you've done some special windscreen. So we always give the client that leeway to over-insure that windscreen more than that which is provided on their policy. As well as radio cassettes, these are things that you can disconnect very easily and put a more expensive accessory. So we always have those valued separately because they are items of that are easily stolen as well. So it's always good to ensure you have the correct value.
Excellent. So talk to those people who are prone to driving cars without insurance, and, you know, hoping for the best or praying nothing happens.
Yes.
What are the risks and drawbacks?
Well, driving without the minimum third-party insurance is illegal in Kenya.
It's illegal.
It's illegal, and it carries heavy penalties and fines if you're caught. On the other side, there's the potential consequences of lack of that financial protection in the event of an accident. In short, you become your own insurer. Yes.
Okay, so it's a warning that it's illegal. Do not drive without insurance.
Yes.
Now, do we have restrictions? For example, you may see a vehicle that says capacities to carry 4, capacities to carry 9. You know, do those restrictions matter, and why?
Yes, there are restrictions. Every vehicle has a logbook, and every logbook indicates the number of seats that vehicle has. And this number of seats will always correspond with what the insurer has on their records. So carrying any more than that's on the logbook is overloading, which really constitutes misuse of the vehicle. And it can even cause some insurance companies to decline a claim. Yes.
So now coming to declining of the claim.
Yes.
Give us a list of instances where an insurance, for example, an insurance company will say we are not going to pay that claim.
Yes, there are several reasons why an insurance company will not pay the claim, but I'll just touch on a few. The first one is involvement in a crime. Think of the Dusit or the Westgate, where you had getaway cars that were being used and they were sprayed with police bullets. These vehicles were not being used for the right use, and they were being used in crime. And you'll find an insurance company will not pay damage to a vehicle if they do investigation and are certain that this vehicle was being used for criminal purposes. That's one. Then the other item that may cause an insurance company not to pay a claim is if they find out that the client has submitted a fraudulent claim. So we normally use investigators for this. And when you feel that this vehicle, the circumstances of this vehicle do not marry with what's in the policy, we'll always use investigators who will tell us exactly the nature of that claim, and they'll uncover fraud. For that one, we do not pay. Then there's also the wrong use of the car. Imagine yourself, you have a private vehicle, you're using it, you've insured it privately, then you're using it to ferry passengers from Nairobi to Kiambu town, and you are getting fare from these passengers. So that is misuse, because there's a correct vehicle class type for that one will be the public service vehicle, the PSV class. Then also there is also the non-disclosure of material facts. For instance, if you have a vehicle has a modification, we take it for valuation, and you bribe the valuer, or there's a way that when the valuation report comes, these items that the vehicle has been modified are not expressly there. Again, we can decline to pay that claim. And also, there's also the item for if at all your claim finds your policy cancelled. Most of the times when we cancel policies is because of non-payment of premium. So if at all we have expressly told you that the policy is cancelled and the vehicle has a claim, then we will not pay because the policy is not active. Yes.
So you mean if a vehicle is found or impounded carrying bangi and contraband and chana, and something happens, you would not pay?
Misuse of the vehicle sometimes can be a reason why a vehicle will not be, a claim will not be paid.
Okay.
Yes.
There's something that you did not talk about, which I think is important, and that is drunk driving.
Drunk driving, yes.
Yeah. Talk to us about that.
Well, this is a behavioral item, and it's an exclusion in most insurance policies, if not all. You cannot drive while you're intoxicated, and that's why you saw even Ntsa and the police try to curb this, because you put other public users at risk.
So that brings me to my next question about the behaviors that can cause, and you just talked about drunk driving.
Yes.
What other behaviors?
Apart from drunk driving, also we have what we call overloading of a vehicle. You find a lot of police standing on the roads, pulling over trucks and even passenger vehicles which have overloaded. That's a risk, and those are behaviors we don't cover. Also, driving with an unlicensed driving license is also not covered, or having an authorized driver behind the wheel, that's also not covered, and that's always uncovered during the investigations. Also, the wrong use of the vehicle, like I'd mentioned, is also another behavior that can cause a claim not to be paid. And the most common one that most people know is behaviors relating to racing, rallies, and competitions. If at all we discover that the vehicle was being used in racing, that's an automatic declined claim. Yes.
Talk to us about authorized or unauthorized drivers. What does that mean? I own a car, so what?
Well, if you have authorized, you don't have to tell the insurance company that you've authorized your wife, your son to drive the car. But during a claim, you have to tell us, was this person authorized to drive that car?
By yourself?
Yes,
okay.
As insured.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's something that we do, all of us, or most of us, that you're in a you're a passenger in a friend's vehicle.
Yes.
You're hiking a lift here and there, you know. Are you insured in case of an accident? What is the position?
The straight answer is yes. You, as a passenger in your friend's private vehicle, are insured. The comprehensive motor policy has third-party property cover, and it also has the third-party bodily injury section. What it means is the insured and the members of his household, employees, authorized drivers are not covered under this section because they're always considered the first party to the insurance contract. However, any other person becomes a third party, and their property and even bodily injury are covered.
What about if you're riding in PSV vehicles, public transport? Okay,
unlike private covers, the PSV vehicle is expected to carry fare-paying passengers, and by that, in the event of an accident, the insured is covered against liabilities for the fare-paying passengers arising out of death, permanent bodily injury, or temporary bodily injury. For you to enjoy this benefit as a PSV vehicle, the client must have bought an extension called the PLL, which is a passenger legal liability per person, which we normally charge at 500 shillings per person. Yes.
So, putting a little twist to that issue, if you're boarding a public service vehicle,
yes,
should you be concerned and check whether it has a valid insurance? Because then
you should check, but the natural instincts of Kenyans is you won't check, because we do have accidents whereby the vehicle didn't have any authorization to carry a passenger, but sometimes these items always end up to legal and they end up in court, and majority of the time the covers will, the passengers will be paid. Yes.
Now, let me take you back a little bit on the types of insurance classes that ordinarily people would have. Things like if you're traveling out of the country, political risk, and things. Talk to us about that.
Well, there are some extensions that you can buy in a motor policy. If you're leaving the country and you're leaving it with your car, there's a yellow card you're supposed to purchase that will cover the third-party injuries and property damage if you're outside the country. There are other extensions that we have, like political violence, whereby if you had bought that extension, for instance, in the due seat, and your car was maybe damaged during that raid, you find you'll be paid. And if you didn't buy that extension, it won't be paid. It's normally an exclusion in almost all insurance policies. Yes.
Okay. Now, let's go to sports, and in this instance, rally cars, bikes. Are they insured? What sort of insurance do they get, and what is how does it work?
The vehicles which are of this nature, you find they're always modified, and in most insurance companies, these are exclusions. So for you to insure a vehicle of that nature, you have to actually tell your client, your insurer, you give them the information outright and be honest about it. And normally, for if at all you have good relationships with the insurance company, or the insurance company has appetite for rally cars, they have to find ways to place that risk by talking with their insurers or their brokers to get that policy in. It won't pay the correct it won't pay the standard premium price. In fact, it will be overcharged because of the risk that comes from it. Yes.
And consequently, I would imagine that if there was an incident, then with the rally cars, then the people affected would be covered.
Yes,
by
they
that
will.
insurance.
Yes, they will be.
Excellent. So, and this question may sound very, very basic,
Yes.
but what happens if your car is not insured and you get into an accident or something happens?
Well, if your car is not insured and you get into an accident with another vehicle that is not insured, it's always advisable. The first thing is to get the details of this other vehicle. Motor liability depends on negligence, and if the other party was to blame, the abstract will clearly show who was to blame in that accident. There are penalties under Cap 405, like I mentioned, for driving a vehicle with no insurance. And what happens is the insurer of your car will take up that claim and will pay for the damage to your vehicle. But since they are supposed to, the other vehicle did not have any insurance cover, you'll find the insurer will now pursue that other person and recover the expense. So if at all you find yourself in that situation, always take those details, because the insurance company will always consult Ntsa and they will find out who is the legal owner of that car. And that's why we always say, immediately you sell your car, ensure you change the logbook details. Transfer. Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that. When you sell your car, make sure you transfer it to the person that you've sold to.
Yes.
Give us the reasons. I think it's an important thing.
Actually, it's the law. Within 90 days of selling a vehicle, you're supposed to transfer your logbook from yourself to the new owner. It's under Section 76A of the Insurance Act. And failure to do this has its own penalties, though you'll find in the industry no one has been given these penalties yet. So at Resolution, we normally monitor these vehicles that are over 90 days and don't have the logbook in the insured name. As well, if you don't change the logbook to the insured name and that vehicle is in an accident, you're the one who will be sued, the person who's legally registered as the owner of that vehicle, even though you sold that vehicle. That's why it's prudent to always change the logbook as soon as you can. Yes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about fraud and making sure that you're getting your insurance policy from a reputable organization.
Yes.
Just talk to us. I'm sure you've dealt with those kinds of things. What must you do so that you ensure you don't, as an owner, you don't get a certificate that is non-existent? Because I've seen press reports saying that so many thousands of people thought they were insured, but they're
Yes.
actually not insured.
Yes. Well, the Association of Kenyan Insurers went ahead and stopped the physical use of certificates and digitalized the certificates to the DMVIC certificates that you are now seeing on the roads. This started in 2019 December. We started issuing our first certificates. The good thing about this is you can be able to dial a USSD code and check if that certificate is valid. Further to this, as an insured person, insurance companies will always send emails, they always send SMSs welcoming you, happy birthday, your vehicle is due for renewal. Where you find you're not getting SMSs, you're not getting emails, that shows the insurer does not know your contact details. And it's always good to just pick that call the insurance company, check if your cover details are intact, check your payments have been paid up to what you have remitted, just to be on the safe side.
Okay. Now, I have another question for you. I see tourist vehicles have a cover that looks different from a private vehicle. Talk to us about why are they different? What sort of covers?
The TSV certificate is, they have a body, the Tours Association, they have a body. And for them, they've gone further to ensure they also have their own regulations within themselves. And so for you to have a tour vehicle, not only should you have a logbook showing you're a tour vehicle, not only should you have a certificate from the insurance company as per the law showing you're covered in the private vehicle, PSV tour vehicle, you also need to have this other certificate for them. We don't issue those certificates as insurance companies. Their body normally does issue those. Yes.
Now, in terms of the people that you work with closely as an insurance company.
Yes.
You talked about Ntsa.
Yes.
Tell us, what sort of relationship do you have with Ntsa, and how does it help the business and safeguard the buyer of the insurance?
You see, we rely on Ntsa to register this vehicle, to give this vehicle a logbook, and we take that document as authentic. Like I said when we started, an insurance company cannot see each and every vehicle. They have to rely on bodies such as the Ntsa. They have to rely on the police. They have to rely on the client data. They have to rely on all of these things. Yes.
So, would you advise anybody buying a new vehicle to make sure that they check, or if you're buying a vehicle anyway, to make sure that you check that it's authentic?
Yes, you always have to check it. It costs $500, but it really saves you a lot if you do that extra check to see the details of that vehicle, if that vehicle exists, and if the person you're buying the vehicle is the same owner registered with Ntsa. That saves a lot of fraud issues in future.
Excellent.
Yep.
Beatrice, I want to take you a little bit back
to
modifications.
Yes.
And I want you to explain a little bit, and I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
Sure.
Someone will buy a vehicle and install big fat rims. Someone will say, my vehicle is too low, I need to make it a little higher. What do you have to say about that, and in relation to what we are talking about?
I feel these modifications, they are normally done in Kenyan garages. It's not from the manufacturer. And once you modify a vehicle, you've actually messed with the gravitation of that vehicle, the stability of that vehicle, and a vehicle that is modified with the same vehicle that's not modified is likely to be in an accident because it has not been modified by the manufacturer. So that's why you find we avoid paying such claims, especially where there was no material disclosure of the same. Yes. So
do you have like specific things that the modifications that you may not cover?
Any modification is not covered, especially if it has to do with the suspension of that car.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking you is so that our listeners and viewers can know specifically what it is.
Well, if you put a mudguard, If you put a bumper, you put extra big tires, that's normally what we do, all of us. But if you mess with the suspension, you mess with the gravitation of that vehicle, then you've altered the stability of that vehicle.
Okay.
And those are the items we look for in those valuations report.
Excellent.
Yes.
So we've discussed quite a bit about motor insurance. Do you have something that you probably may think that we've not covered that you'd want to cover?
Yes. The main reason why there are a lot of misconception with insurance, and especially to do with motor insurance, I feel, and this is a personal feel, is the failure by the insured to go word by word in their policy document and read everything. They see the exclusions, the conditions, what's covered, what's not covered, under what circumstances will the claim be honored. I feel, yes, the policy documents at the moment are jargon, as many clients will say, but I hope in future we see some of these simplified documents, because even I, when I first purchased my first insurance cover, I never read that document, yet I know I should have read it. So that's one of the items I feel is something we need to tell our clients, to always read that document to avoid future grievances with the insurance company. Though there is always an avenue when you don't agree with your insurance company to always escalate it to the insurance regulatory authority, who will always investigate and give a solution for you. Yeah.
Now that you've mentioned that, let me just take you a little bit about lodging claims.
Yes.
So I've been into an accident. Maybe talk to us about the car needs repairs or the car is written off. What do you do with the car needs repairs and the car has been written off?
We have a person we call a motor assessor, and they work for insurance companies. Once the vehicle leaves the police grounds and the abstract is in the client's, those vehicles are normally assessed, and the assessor will look at the vehicle, appraise it, and they will be the one to tell these repairs are worth this much. And if they're worth this much, is it in the insurance company interest to repair or to just write it off? So that task, we leave it with the motor assessor, and he's the one who comes and tells us that. And based on his information, you'll find the insurance company will put the necessary reserves before they continue with the claim processing.
So writing off means
it's a salvage vehicle. Yes, it's a salvage vehicle, and you're supposed to, once you close that claim, you're supposed to declare that logbook back to Ntsa, because a salvage vehicle, as much as they get repaired, should not be on the Kenyan roads. Yes.
Okay, talk to us about a salvage vehicle should not be on the Kenyan roads. Yeah, because they found that it's not mechanically sound.
Well, you look at the vehicle and it's totally damaged. It has affected the chassis, it has affected the engine, the whole bodywork, and maybe the vehicle is insured at 1 million. To repair this vehicle, it's going to cost you, 1 million. So you rather just appraise it and make it a written off car. Plus, if at all you were to repair this vehicle, you wouldn't put it to its original condition, which makes it a bit dangerous putting it back on the roads. Yes.
Excellent. We've talked a lot about motor insurance and the do's and don'ts.
Yes.
Now, tell us from a resolution insurance point of view, you as Beatrice,
yes,
how does a customer get insurance? What is the process? Where do they go? Who do they see? Who do they call? Or where do they click?
Well, the interesting thing is at Resolution, we've made it quite easy for the client, they just log in into our website and they click resolution now. We have our own self-service portal whereby the client can self-service themselves, and we have so many people sitting on this side to help them through that process. So for us, we would advise the client to either contact us directly or just self-service themselves on our resolution now portal, which is accessible on our website.
Okay, so the moment I get into the self-service portal, enter my details, then what happens?
You'll be asked a range of questions. First of all, you'll have to register yourself. There'll be a lot of questions that you'll be asked. Following that, you will be asked which kind of cover you want, whether it's motor or non-motor or even medical. So you choose motor, and there'll be a range of fields that you'll be guided through the system, and at the end your vehicle will be taken for valuation. You wait, you'll get so many correspondences along the way, and eventually you do buy your cover once we have the valuation.
Excellent.
Yes.
I think this has been quite informative session.
Thank you.
And I would hope that it has cleared a little bit or cleared quite a bit
Yes.
for those of us who may be getting this the first time, or those of us who don't read the fine print. It's called the fine print.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Beatrice. We appreciate your time.
Thank you too.
And once again, tell us who you are and what you do and where we can find you.
Well, yes, my name is Beatrice Kiarie, and I'm the Senior Underwriter at Resolution Insurance. I am the one who supervises the motor book at underwriting, and you can always find me on second floor at our head office. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Beatrice.
too.